All right, Mr. Stewart, thanks for your time this morning on Friday. Just wanted to first get right into it and ask you for your comment on Governor Arnold Palacios's press release about the 8 million sole source contract that was awarded to MSA, as he put it.
So we'll have some information coming out to the press here later today. But if I go and just there's some things I would like to respond back to as a result of the governor's press statement. And contract was a sole source. However, it was issued at a time when there was an emergency declaration. As you may know, back in December of 21, there was no airline service to Rhoda or Tinian. And once that stopped, the governor reached out to me, asking about, we were working on international air service and asking if we were interested in helping out or if we could help out.
And you mean Governor Ralph Torres, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so we weren't working on inter island at all. But what we did was our airline consultant out of Australia reached out to Southern Airways in Florida, and they flew down a couple of weeks later, and we submitted a proposal to the administration that was subsequently accepted, and we received a contract in March. The contract itself certifies that the funds were there. It gives the account number that the funds are located in. It also goes and certifies that it's done per CNMI procurement regulations. We'll be posting this to our Facebook later today, our entire contract, but it certifies that all CNMI regulations were followed. The Attorney General has signed off on it. And so there's nothing, that the thing that I think that people may misunderstood, or maybe the governor misunderstood, was there was no, odd deals here. Nothing went on that was going and unique. The situation was there was an emergency issue. And what the administration at that time was doing was going and solving the issue to ensure that there would be another airline here that could go and provide service if something ever happened. And I know that I don't know firsthand, but I was told at the time that other airlines were also approached. And I don't know if there were other proposals received or not, but, we can only move forward with our proposal. But it was based on that understanding and the certifications that were in the contract that allowed us to move forward. Going and purchasing brand new aircraft and standing up an airline post-COVID, when even with Southern, there are so many other communities in the U.S. that need air traffic, and air travel services provided. We really look at what Southern did of coming out here to the CNMI, as something that was, really pretty historic. And frankly, we have the newest and the best fleet of airplanes that Southern has in their entire fleet, and they're the largest commuter airline, I believe, in the U.S. And so, it's extremely disappointing that the governor had the letter sent canceling the agreement. We are still looking and don't believe that ultimately that'll be the end decision that the administration will make. When you look at island destinations or any islands, the number one, the first thing you need to create any kind of economy is traffic and air service. And so, shutting down or preventing, canceling this contract or not, going and reinstituting it, we think is going to be a big mistake. In just the first 6 months or so of service, we'd flown 10,000 passengers on our planes. We had saved CNMI passengers over $600,000 when comparing our rates to competitive rates that were there. And you'll see when we do post the contract, the agreement with the government was they're providing the incentives to, one, help us get an airline going, but also to be able to promote the economy and promote travel by, helping us go and provide a lower rate. So the end effect is ultimately, those ARPA funds ended up going back into the community indirectly by not paying as much on your airfare. So it,
And
go ahead.
yes, and Mr. Stewart, did just to clarify, you said the governor approached Southern Airways, and you didn't seek this out yourself?
No, the governor approached me because he knew that we were working on the international air service. And so I didn't even know Southern at the time either. We weren't working on going and trying to do an inter-island solution. We were working on an international. And what I believe happened was the governor went out looking at everyone he could find that was in the airline industry and trying to find a solution to an immediate problem of services being stopped. Once those services stopped, people couldn't go to dialysis by plane anymore. You had so many medical issues that were going on at the time. And so to put things in perspective, that's why the emergency order, I believe, was issued, was because, those two islands were sitting without any kind of services. And so, the government decided to use ARPA funds for this. I think they could have done whatever, used other funds if they wanted to. But if you look at the use of ARPA funds, for what I do know about ARPA funds of trying to regenerate the economies after COVID, frankly, I can't think of any business in an island community that would be better utilized of ARPA funds than the airline industry in order to promote tourism, getting people traveling again, create industries, generate the economy. So I'm not exactly sure what happened here. I'm sensing it might be more political than anything, but unfortunately, it's going to be the people at CNMI that's going to, be hit the worst.
And so how much of the 8 million have you received so far? Based on the governor's press release, it says about 2.4 million, including 1.5 for startup costs, over August and November. Does that match up with what you have on your books?
Yes, we've been paid about 2.3, 2.4 million. We're owed probably close to $1 million. And so we had notified the administration all the way back in December when the new administration was coming in to take office, that payments were in arrears and that we needed help. And so what we did was we carried forward based on working through to give the administration time to sort through their plans, get their administration, their cabinet and everyone in place to make decisions. So we were in a position last December, going and raising the flag saying, we need help because the government's not making payments. And we have not any payments, since I think November.
And you've alluded to the competition. Of course, everyone knows that is Star Marianas. The governor himself pointed out what I think even we're seeing on social media in terms of the reaction to the sole source contract. Just wanted to read this quote and get your reaction. He said, "Equally disturbing, the lack of funds to support this sole source contract. I question the fairness and wisdom of issuing such a lucrative agreement to a new private venture when an existing competing vendor was already providing the same service and was not offered a similar opportunity." He says he wants the CNMI to be a level playing field. So what's your response to that statement from Governor Palacios?
So I can't speak on behalf of Star Marianas, but the thing that I would say is the reason we are even in the inter-island airline service is because an airline stopped providing service and basically putting lives in the economy in jeopardy at the time. That is the sole reason we're in it. We're still losing money, and so we're not making money on this when he refers to a lucrative contract. What we've been doing is working to get an airline stood up. We've invested in brand new aircraft, invested in the right teams, the right equipment over to create a plan over the long term. And so, the contract is not lucrative. It's really a contract that allows us to be able to get here, with brand new planes, with equipment to get things stood up. And even with the incentives, we're not there. We're still losing money. So it's not like there's a great, basket of gold or anything else that's sitting at the end of the rainbow here. The only reason we stepped in is because the community needed somebody to step in. And why didn't someone else? I don't know. And I believe, but you could check with Star, but I believe that the reason they stopped service is because, I heard that there was some issue with CPA and monies owed, et cetera, but I don't want to speculate on exactly what that is. But, there is a reason, and really the other airline is the reason that we're even here. So, and looking back, I would have sooner, if I knew that this would have happened, we would have never started the airline. It's solely looking, and as a company, what I'll tell our employees, they'll be looking and saying, we want to go and fill the gaps in the needs of the community wherever they might be. In this case, we have a contract that was funded down to the accounts, that was certified, that was there, that the Attorney General was done. It was done completely above board, and serving really the people of the CNMI based on providing additional air travel and great fares. So it's unfortunate.
Some are concerned you're going to pull the plug entirely and close up shop here. Is that a possibility, or?
What I would say is, I think if people don't want us to, I'd probably suggest that they reach out to the governor. And, we've had meetings with the governor, with the majority of the Senate, with the, individuals from the governor's office over the last couple of days. And I think, our resolve and our desire has been to do the right thing for the CNMI. If the people in the administration wants us here, we'll be here. If they don't, then we'll move on. And but I think it would be extremely short-sighted to have an airline such as Southern that's come here with us to go back. They have so many other places, so many other communities right now that need their planes and their efforts back in the States. And so it's getting an airline out here. There's no other airline in the entire world that would have come and done what Southern and us have done. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, hopefully in the coming days, we can work something out with the government, and but it's really up to them. So,
and Senator Paul Manglona issued his own statement, confirming the meetings that the Public Utilities, Transportation, and Communication Committee in the Senate have had with MSA and STAR. Are you able to provide us, some detail about what you're talking about with lawmakers? Are they trying to find alternative funds? Ultimately, are you saying that they still, you still want the $8 million initially, or what are the negotiations happening right now?
So I wouldn't say there's any negotiations going on right now. I think that the Senate, we had a hearing yesterday. I call it a hearing. It was really just us meeting with a group of senators. And it's really what we were doing was just giving them information on the House wise, what's there, indicating our resolve and our interest to always do the right thing, to be here if the community wants us. But we can't, you can't bring new planes here, and you can't go provide the service that we're doing without help. And that's why no other airline has ever brought new planes into the region here to be able to provide this kind of service, on the scheduled service. It's an extremely big endeavor, much more than I ever thought it was, getting into it. So it will not be easy to replicate by any means or stretch of the imagination, and certainly won't happen without government support. unfortunately, this has now gone around the world in the airline community. And so I think it's even going to be much harder for, if this continues, it's going to be very hard for any reputable airline to be able to come here and provide the services. Certainly not from the U.S.
To that point, Mr. Stewart, and with all due respect, but if other people were offered $8 million, you're saying they wouldn't have done the same thing that you have?
I've talked to Southern Airways, and they've told me there is no other airline that will do that. The barriers of entry, the processes you have to set up, the FAA, DOT approvals you need, and the systems put in place. It is not easy. It sounds like it could be easy, going and flying cargo, or going and flying, charters or things like that are a lot easier than flying scheduled service with passengers. It is the most risky part of airline service. And what I would say is, obviously, the CMI will be counting on that they can find somebody that can do it. And if I live here, so, if we're not here, I hope somebody does, but it would be hard pressed to do so. The other thing is that 8 million, it's an amount that was going towards incentives and incentivizing us based on a price per flight. And so we, as a result of the government's slowing down payments, we were supposed to already be ramping up or have additional planes here. Because of the lack of payments, we have not moved forward with purchasing more planes. We actually had contracts signed and, stopped them as a result of the payments or lack of payments. And so, part of it is that the plan wasn't to just simply provide 3 planes and be doing what we're doing. The plan was to go and have 6, 7 planes here in the Marianas, flying and providing that service. And that is not a small feat whatsoever. And the risks associated with doing that, especially at a time post-COVID, when there are a few pilots out there are a few planes, especially on this side, and certainly, you have more airlines going under. I would be curious, anybody to come and show me an airline that started up in the U.S. Post-COVID, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were the only one. You see most airlines going down or services being cut, not the other way around.
And when it comes to the actual cost, what are the incentives paying for? So are they paying for the cost of a particular seat, the pilot's, salary? Can you break that down for us for what it was meant for?
So the government just there's a rate per flight. So we go fly a route. There's an amount that we can build towards, and I don't remember what the amount, but it's we have 9 passenger seats, and the incentive is probably anywhere from, if you look at it, less than $10 a seat to longer flights, I'll say 70 a seat, something like that. And so it's not huge money that's going towards it. And what we ended up doing in the agreement with the government was we would suppress fares, especially during the incentive period, but we still have suppressed fares, or have had it up until today.
So what would the price be today? Let's just say for, the average price, right? It's around $150 maybe. And so without the incentive, what would be, or, without this suppression?
And it depends on the flights, but if you look at the flight between Guam and Saipan, I think this last week the flights were close to $600 round trip. If you look at flights to Rota from Saipan, I think they're $250 a round trip. Flights to Tinian, I believe are at 55. I could be wrong. I'll let you verify those, but I haven't been checking. It's just from going off of memory. Okay. And so you look at the airline industry, typically, as many hotels do, will go and price themselves out based on where the market demand is and where things are. We have not been doing that. We've been going and establishing pricing to set a new a new bar, a new level of pricing. And so,
All right, Mr. Stewart, that's all the questions I have. I know you said you'll be sharing the contract with the public and the press soon. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing to the community?
what I would say is we really do thank the community and all the support that we've had. MSA is, been successful and getting going because of the public. And I think everybody, the general consensus I hear is that it's a lot easier to fly to Guam and back, on ours than going through TSA and everything else, the longer processes. But we really appreciate, the community support. We've appreciated the government and their support. We wouldn't be here without the government. I just think that, there's, I don't know, maybe some misunderstandings or something along this line, with them. But, I would just ask that if there are, as the community does want MSA to continue, to please let the governor know. And yeah, we'll see where the coming days and, go, and, where, if there are negotiations or not. So I was supposed to be meeting with the governor today. So we'll see what happens, and, we'll continue dialogue with senators and see what happens. So yeah. So
All right, thank
we
you.
appreciate
What time is your meeting with the gov?
I'm waiting for confirmation. So
Okay.
I
All right.
don't-
Thank you
yeah,
so much for your time. We'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you.